When we were young, we read more often because we had to. It was the only way for us to get knowledge and to be enlightened. Read to your heart's delight and be enlightened. Let's just read. It's a podcast by Andy's Personal Development. Stay tuned for more reading and enlightenment. Our next guest on Let's Just Read is national best-selling author and a decorated combat veteran with multiple deployments. His name is retired Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike. He has 31 years in the United States Army as both an enlisted and officer, including 9 years overseas in 5 countries. This is our guest. His publication is entitled A Soldier Against All Odds. It compiles all his life events in an inspiring storytelling format with the ups and downs of a life in uniform. This is his publication. So let's welcome this surviving veteran and author, retired Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike, live on Let's Just Read. Okay, this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development, and we are live in Let's Just Read studio. And our special guest on this episode is retired Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike. Jason is a national best-selling author, a decorated combat veteran with multiple deployments, and he has served 31 years in the United States Army, and he has spent 9 years overseas in about 5 countries. So he's a man who has been around and has gone through a lot, but we let him tell us his story as we seek to get the inspiration and the enlightenment from his book entitled A Soldier Against All Odds. Welcome, Jason Pike, Lieutenant Colonel, retired. How are you, sir? How are you doing today?
Hey, Andy, I'm very honored, doing well, and I'm just honored to be on your show today. I really appreciate that. So, yeah, we can talk about the story and everything in the book.
Honor to have you. It's an honor to have you. We appreciate you coming on. So we will not waste any time. What we want to do is we want to have you start from before you entered into the Army. And I want to specifically point out something that at age 7, you were diagnosed with an acute learning disability and failing first grade, and you had to repeat. And at 9, you were diagnosed with osteomyelitis, a crippling bone disease that dissolved the bone at the knee and added to your academic challenges and your physical challenges. What was that period like for you, Jason? Tell us.
Well, I was a kid north of Atlanta, Georgia. I was growing up kind of north of Atlanta. And so I had a learning disability that was diagnosed at age 7. Reading and writing are my worst subjects. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I got a book out, but no, they still, that still is my worst subject, believe it or not. And it was not only identified by, professionals, the educational professionals, it was also identified after college twice. Okay. So yes, I failed the first grade. I had to go back and repeat it. At the time, I was a kid. I didn't know any better. And so that was that. And it they did not label me. I was not considered, they didn't want to put a label on me, but I kind of labeled myself as maybe a little bit of a dummy, well, which I was not, but I labeled myself as kind of a skeleton. And 2 years after that, I had a bone. I was swimming in a swimming pool and I bumped my knee and a bacteria started, and then it was osteomyelitis. It dissolved my knee twice, actually, as a kid. So, I mean, I think kids are pretty strong compared to adults when they have to go through situations. And to me, that was just life. Pain and failure were just parts of what sort of is normal. And as a kid, that's probably what I'm thinking, which made me a little bit resilient going forward, maybe more than others. Yeah.
Wow. So how did that emotional battle have any kind of effect on you? Did it cramp your style mentally? And how did you overcome it? How did you breach the challenge to become the individual that you eventually became?
Good question. I was less confident in my ability, especially as in school. We all know that education is important. So I always struggled in school. And with that bone disease, I had just had to work at it. I had to work the muscles up at it. Now, good question as far as you're talking about is how in the world, I mean, to go into the United States Army, we are not just a dummy force. You have to pass an entrance test to go in, and you have to have physical fitness requirements to go in. I went in at the age of 17 when I was still in high school. I was between my junior and senior year of high school, and the good thought behind I kind of just slid in. Now, as far as the knee, as far as the knee was concerned, they asked about my physical ailments, and I lied. I said, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine." And as far as the entrance test to the military, that's a mystery to me. I don't know how I passed it. Because I know my entrance, they're kind of similar to the entrance level of college. And you have to pass a certain gate, and I don't know how I know the SAT, the college entrance is pretty hard, but I don't know how I got it. I kind of just slid in. So that's how I got in. Yeah.
So did you follow in the footsteps of your father? Was he a military man as well?
Well, so he went in to basically get an education and escape poverty. But he was much smarter than me. I was going in not because of him. Him and my father at the time, my father and my mother at the time didn't really think the military is for people that they were less than best. It was the option. Military to them was the option. If you can't get into college, that's where you go. But I was doing it because I really thought that was probably the only place I could go, because I knew for a fact it was verified not only by counselors and the tests that I could not go to college, but of course I eventually did.
Interesting, Jason. That's really interesting. So I want to go back to when you got involved in the Army and you started traveling and you went on tours and so on. How does that tie into what you eventually became? Because it says that you survive against all odds. What were some of those odds that you face as a member of the United States Army?
Oh, I had my share of just bad choices. I've had arrests with the police as far as driving under the influence. I've battled office politics where they attempted to throw me under the bus. There was just many serious. I did well. I just kept on going. So with the arrest of a driving in the military, we have a different standard of conduct and behavior compared to civilian life. We have a higher, and so if you get arrested with law enforcement, regardless of anything, it's much more serious in the military. Okay. You got to understand, I had been from enlisted age 17, and I went through the ranks, and some of this behavior occurred, like the DUI occurred when I was an officer, a captain in the Army. And we know through conventional wisdom in the United States, they're going to throw you out. And I assumed I was going to be kicked out. Now, they wanted to kick me out when I was 17, but that was a different story. But this story as an officer, they're going to kick me out. And I had to go through a series of appeals and proving to the military and to my commander that I was a worthy soldier to staying on board. And that took 2 years. Now, getting locked up, the cuffing and the stuffing, that's just occurred overnight, a day or two. and that's embarrassing. And I have to apologize to my, but to get through that, as far as if you wanted to stay in, you had to go through 2 years of appeal processes to get, and most people, I don't think most normal people would ever try to do that, about, 2 inches of paperwork. And so throughout a period of time. So it was many things, everything from arrest to just office politics to, it goes on. There's so many stories. And when I saw this stuff laid, we all have a story, but how many people write it out and how many people want to publish it as a word, there was just so many events that occurred that I looked at this and was like, how in the world did I get through all this? That's where you. Yeah.
What made you? What prompted you to realize, hey, you know what? I'm going to publish this. I don't care about the consequences. I don't care what people say. I'm just going to publish it. How did you arrive at that decision?
Family and friends and colleagues kept looking at me like, how in the world did you do this? How did you get out of this? My dad, who knew me the best, says, son, you surprised the hell out of me. That's a statement that he said often. And so I started thinking after my father's death, it's dedicated to my father, that I would put my dad was a storyteller. And I said, well, this will be a tribute to him and me in a conversation of my life and memoir, because everyone kept asking me, how did you, well, okay, now I got a book. I got a book now to tell you how I did it. And it really surprises me when you get it out. There are some sensitive places in the book that I had to change some people's names and things. So I wanted to come clean with my sins and my failures before I go and talk about some sensitive areas in here that were not my fault. Just like in life, we have our faults, they have their faults. And you have to, and you said, how in the world are you going to be able to, you have to be, well, comfortable in your own skin. You have to, I'm a little older, I have retired. And so I am a little bit more financially settled than many people. And so I wanted to get this out really just for personal enjoyment and to create hope, inspiration in other people's lives, no matter what phase of life they're going through. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. Thanks for sharing, Jason. I want to read a couple of things here, and I'm going to start with, you escaped a hole with animal feces in South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
yes,
that's in the book.
That's in the book. And yes, we have a place in America. A lot of times we'll say, I'm up shit creek, or I'm up the creek. I'm neck deep in it, meaning that's considered a bad place to be in life. But I've literally been there and almost drowned when I was in my late 20s in South Korea. So I can tell you the storyline on that. I was in South Korea. It's just a station. It's a country that we go to help defend the region. That's just a station, a tour that we go through. And I was over there at night alone. So yeah, I was not only in feces and shit up to my neck, drowning. I was walking alone at night on a rice paddy, demonstrating my ability to read a map and a compass to find your way out in the woods. As soldiers, we have to practice that and demonstrate that to our, supervisors. And well, they dropped us off at night with our maps and compass, and we had to go search different ways. We all had a different waypoint, all alone. We're alone at night in a foreign country. I was walking along a rice paddy. Well, that stuff is slippery. I slipped on my butt and I went into the embankment and I went up to my neck in it. I knew it was there before, but I tried to avoid it, but I was at night. I just couldn't. I slipped and I went up to it. I went neck deep in it. At that time, I thought I was going to drown. Now, I really did. I thought I was going under. We have equipment. We have a rifle. I held on to my rifle, and I was going. It was like a quicksand material. And the reason they have this over there That's for fertilizer. That's also called night soil. They use that for fertilizer. I was thinking at the time, I've never had a wife or kids. I can't. I'm a young man. I'm gonna drown here. I wanted to keep my nose and mouth above it because it was right here. And I was just thinking. My last name is Pike, and I was thinking to myself, man, the headlines are going to be pooping Pike. Pike dies in poop. I'm thinking, oh, that's not going to be good at all. But what I did was I managed in situations of trauma. That to me was trauma. I have a way of going into a phase or a zone. And so what I did was I started to caterpillar very, very slowly out up to the top at an angle, and then slowly come off of the poop or the feces. And once I got out of that poop pond or the poop, I turned on my back and I looked up to the stars and I said, God, why do you put me in this shit? Why does this happen to me? And I was a mob. I was a mob of poop on me. So what I did was I started rolling around like a dog to get the bulk of it off.
Yeah.
After I did that, I realized I had another problem. And the other problem was to get back to camp without anyone knowing what happened. I would have to maneuver around other people and have to be sort of secret and not try to get, they could either, but it was that night and I saw a light out there. And we're not supposed to talk to the Korean families, but I saw a light at a house and I started walking toward that light. We don't have flashlights out there. We have to. So I walked toward the farmer's house, and I knew that the Americans would not go over there. I didn't know what I was doing when I was walking toward the light. I didn't know if I was walking toward heaven or hell, but I was gonna. And I didn't even. I said, well, I walked on. I knocked on the door. A Korean woman came to the door, and we call her Ajima. That means woman. And I go, and she goes. The Ajima goes, Agu, agu. That means ooh, agu. And I go, annyeonghaseyo, annyeonghaseyo. And we do a lot of arm waving and hand waving because I don't really speak Korean and she don't really speak English much. So she motions me to strip naked, and we knew that it was an emergency situation. I stripped naked in front of a complete stranger on that porch. Wow. Gave her everything except my rifle, my map, and my compass. Okay. I was running off adrenaline, and the plan was, in broken type of sign language, is that she would find me that next morning, wherever that would be at, and she would give it to me clean. And so that's what happened. So basically, then I walked back naked about a mile or so, avoiding the other people to make it back there safely and secretly. She came and delivered all my equipment that next morning. And no one found out about it. We kept it secret. I had to do a little maneuvering to get that thing done, but I did two things right that night. As I got out, I didn't die in shit. That's one thing. And number two, I saved my face. I saved my embarrassment, and I was able to make it back. I failed that course, but I went on to take it a few more times. But yeah, that was a story about not only me dying, almost drowning in poop, but also how to get out of it and get out of it there without everybody knowing about it.
Well, you were a naughty guy. You were running from a police helicopter after burning trash.
So yeah, that was in Maryland. So this was a bizarre, I was just being a dummy, really. So what it was, so there was a message that came down to burn or shred our documents that we have, our sensitive information, social security numbers, birth certificate, all that, dates of birth. I got it all in a trash bag. The problem was I went out at night into the woods to burn it. And I felt I was doing the right thing, but I'm from the country. I was up north out of Baltimore City. It was out of Baltimore, Maryland. And I didn't know there was, someone thought I was an arsonist. They called me in. I was just burning stuff out in the woods. The problem was someone thought there was somebody just trying to create a forest fire.
Yeah.
Which was not. I was not. I was just burning my documents. and they called the police in on me, and there was a helicopter overhead, like the ones that have a, I don't know that the ones that have those lights that, and they chased me out into the wood. I got scared. So I put out the fire, and then I ran off into the woods, and the helicopter was chasing me, and I got away from that helicopter and I made it back. Now that next morning I was surprised. I was scared. I don't know why he was chasing me. So I went into the office and I said, hey, y'all, you know what? I got chased by a helicopter for burning. Said, why? Said, you're not supposed to burn because it's in city ordinance. I said, I was just trying to burn my sensitive documents. He says, it doesn't matter. You were in city limits, and people are going to call the police on you on stuff like that. And that was the story of being chased by a police. I was trying to do the right thing, but they thought I was doing something wrong. So yeah.
I'm going to play something for you, Jason. We're going to get your feedback on it. So hold on. Here we go.
That job did not last for long. I took a joyride in my official government vehicle in a county that was not assigned to me, ran a stop sign, and totaled the truck. I was broadsided on the driver's side. I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I flew over to the passenger side. I walked away without a scratch, but the entire vehicle was totaled.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now that's when I was being a naughty boy right there. So my first job out of Clemson University in South Carolina, I had studied agriculture at the time. I had a federal job in Barnwell, South Carolina. I took a federal job as a soil conservationist. I had a truck. They gave me a government truck. So I went on a joyride on duty on a county not assigned to me. And exactly right. I was just speeding, and I was running stop signs, and I sort of did a lot of that when I was a young man. And I blew past a stop sign one too often. Someone broadsided me, and it totaled the truck. And I was on, I was a government worker then, and I didn't want to wear a seatbelt, I think not wearing a seatbelt saved me because it hit me on the driver's side. I flew over to the passenger side. And I walked away without a scratch. My supervisor took note of it, and he was just happy that I had lived, and I was too. And I was fired from that job. I went off to another job. Now, see, I was a reserve soldier at that time, weekend warrior, and so that was my civilian job. So I left that job, went to another job, and I got fired again because I didn't get along with my supervisor. So I'd been fired from 2 jobs already, and I was considered an officer in the military, and I had a college degree. And so when I got fired from the second job, I went on unemployment, and so I was unemployed with a bachelor's and a master's degree. And well, the Army called me up and says, hey, you want to go? Because you forgot your obligation to stay in the Army. And I said, yeah, it's a good time to let go. Let's go. So I went from there, from unemployment, I went on to active duty. But yeah, I've been fired from jobs also. Yeah.
Yeah. You have been a bad boy, Jason. In essence, tell us, what is the big message that you want people to get from your book, your publication?
So what you're doing is you're seeing someone who's had a lot of trouble in their life. That's a senior person. I made it up to senior executive, believe it or not, which is another, people look at all these little things and they just wonder so no matter what you're doing in your life, if you just keep on trying and you just keep on, and if you fail at something, yes, it's normal to get down. We do that. I do it now sometimes, but it's also good, very, very important to get back up. And you're going to see some crazy stuff from a person. Like most senior people, I feel, are going to be, they're either too proud to admit they done screwed up things, or I don't know. Because you look at people that are senior as perfect, but there's no perfect penny, right? We're not perfect, and we all have imperfections. And that's what's great about a good memoir, is that it will, mine's pretty good, I think. And I think that's how it sets us up different. Even though this is a military memoir, it is not about as much blood and guts. Even though I saw blood and guts when I was in war in Afghanistan, this is more gauged toward the ups and downs of a life in uniform. from a senior guy telling you, admitting to the faults and my issues. And that was very, very hard to do. It's very hard to be vulnerable and to show this and to see, and to, you know, it's not just writing it and to seeing it on paper. It's also being able to express it. So I am also different. I am the author and the narrator, just like you had in that piece. You see the narration. It's coming from the horse's mouth as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Jason. I really appreciate that. Now, you have been knocked down several times and you got up. You showed resilience. And everybody has some level of the resilience. That's what we as humans are blessed with. Uh, Nature itself is blessed with some level of resilience. It's universal. But how do you get people to realize that they can be enlightened enough to get back up again? I mean, and I want to use this metaphor. Imagine having Mike Tyson at his peak hit your left hook, literally out of center field, out of left field or wherever, and you're down. And the count is going on, and you know if it reaches to 9, you're out. Look at that as an experience in life, say COVID, and you're coming out of COVID and you need to get back up again. What are some of the things that you need to do to inspire yourself enough to bounce back, get back up, and get in the game again?
Okay, you're knocked down, all right? And so what it is, it's these very small inch successes that you can do to get back up. So, okay, I got knocked, but I just lived one day after the knock. I've only lived 6 hours after that knock. That's considered success. Think of it as a success and then go from there. You can't get up. You've got COVID. You can't even walk because of your breath. Well, maybe tomorrow, I did it today. Yesterday, I can do it now. And I did it with unassisted. And these little small steps you take. When I was neck deep in it, I said, now I'm a little bit up over it. I'm still in it, but I'm almost. So you get those and you focus on those little small successes and you try to think of that and build on that. And yeah, just the other day I was picking up something and I hit my shoulder and it's still hurting. And I knocked my shoulder. I don't know. I think I'm going to the doctor tomorrow, but it was hurting, and I couldn't go to sleep. And then I'm thinking, I've lived one day afterwards. I've lived 2 days. I've got some. And so you're thinking of just little small successes and then you can look back when you were knocked out. So when that knockout occurs, right, you're down. But then even if you're up just a little bit, that's considered something a success. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, wonderful. What kind of response have you received from people that hear your story live? Because I see here that you've been able to appear in events and shows and share your story. How do people react? How do they respond to hearing it live from you?
Most of them are shocked because I've never seen these type of someone that's senior that's been accomplished just tell them these things. And so you'll see this a lot on your Amazon reviews, and they're review. You can see some good free reviews from my soldiers who will tell you, I never believed he would do it, supervisors and other family things of that nature. So, but yeah, they're really shocked and they think it's an unbelievable story. And I did too. I was shocked as well.
Okay. I want to read you something here, Jason, and you tell me about this individual, because certainly if he knew you to write this, you would have known him. He says he would describe your book as a journey equally defined by success and struggle. Pike pushes onward with a stunning refusal to quit. I commend you on that. His grit, resilience, and remarkable vulnerability shine through every sentence, providing light and hope to readers in any season of life. Colonel Jack Widam, USA, retired.
Yeah, he's a full colonel, and he retired. He's also an author on Amazon, and yes, and he has reviewed this, and he's got books, so he's sort of kind of helped me out a little bit on it. And but yeah, he was spot on with that. And but he was thinking maybe in the beginning that I was showing too much vulnerability, but he was also surprised as well once he saw the reviews come in that it really helped out a lot of people. So, but yeah, and I also commend him for helping me. Yeah.
All right, great. So I'm going to take you on a little journey to another aspect of your life. And so stand by for this.
Hey, this is Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike. I'm at a local gym here, getting my workout in. And I'm breathing hard, but I keep on going. So I'm the author and the narrator of A Soldier Against All Odds. 31 years in the Army, 9 years overseas. Failures and fiascos, locked up, confined, choice, and many. You gotta check it out. Yes, I would prefer the audio so you can hear me talk. Like I'm doing right now. The book, that's fine. I have trouble reading and writing anyway.
Exactly. So they wanted me to do a video on my Facebook site. So I did my video. I've never done a video for a Facebook. I just do it on my iPhone and threw that out. But yeah, that's exactly right. And a gym is what the elliptical machine helps me to process grief and trauma and pain. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll get on the machine, I'll go left to right, and without a video, and I'll just process. That's a processing mechanism for me. I don't know, and a lot of some of these shows want to focus on post-traumatic stress syndrome and trauma and grief and things. I can definitely talk of that as well, but that's kind of what I'm kind of working on. Yeah.
Oh, you have been amazing.
Thank you much. I'm honored to be here. I'm very proud that you put me on the show. Yeah.
I'm glad that you came on. Wonderful. So I just want to allow you now to share your information with people, how they can get in contact with you if they need you to speak, to share your story just for inspiration and to build courage and hope, and how they can get your book as well. Go ahead.
Well, I'm out there on media. I got a website, bestthingjasonpike.org, jasonpike.org. You can put it in there and I'll answer your email. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, but the book is on Amazon. Now, Amazon, you'll find jasonpike.org, you'll find it on Amazon. For the audiobook, the Kindle, hard copy, paperback, remember it's a national bestseller. And so but it's there. I'm on Facebook and all the others, jasonpike.org. But yeah, I can go to speaking events and do inspirational type shows or what have you. So my goal is, I've been talking to someone today to do another book, not on inspiration, but more or less on the veterans' benefits and try how to help out other veterans that are not able to get their benefits. But this right here, this book this has been some project. I mean, if I were to die and go to heaven or hell tomorrow, I would be I wouldn't want to go to hell, but I'd be very happy because I got this book, right?
Jason, you're a bundle, man. So any final words? I shouldn't say final, but parting words that you'd like to say, especially to young folks, that really look to need someone that would just be a mentor they could look up to, and hey, if Jason could do it, guys, we could do it too.
Yeah, everything I did was from the bottom. Okay, it's not only education, but it was also from rank and how I grew. And so everything was from the bottom. And there's if you just do a few things in life, you'll do better than most. And that is just show up at the right place, show up at the right time, and show up with the right attitude and with the right equipment, right place, right. You don't even have to know anything, really. If you just did those things, you'll be doing better than most. You might not think it, but your supervisor will take note of it. So right place, right time, right attitude. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All righty.
I'm the man, retired Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike, served 31 years in the United States Army, a decorated combat veteran, and he has written a book entitled A Soldier Against All Odds. Get it on Amazon, check on his website. Ask him to come and speak at your function, your event. He's gonna have a story that will blow your mind and give a whole lot of enlightenment and inspiration to those who would hear it. So we want to thank him for coming on and being our guest. And this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development on saying, next time on Let's Just Read, continue to read for enlightenment, for knowledge, so that you can have a better opportunity to live a more fulfilled and prosperous life. So until then, this is Andy and my special guest, Jason Pike, saying so long.
So long. Bye-bye.
Shalom. Bye for now, folks.